Hello, Internet. My name is Ryan Ingram, and on this channel, I'd like to teach you everything that I know about building wealth. Today, I'd like to discuss a deal that started 2 years ago and just recently became 10 times more awesome, and I'll explain that towards the end of the video. April of 2018, this is the fourth property that I purchased. The first duplex that I bought was in August of 2017. This fourth property, I was at another insurance agency at the time, and one of our clients called and she wanted to know if her normal homeowner's policy or her dwelling fire policy covered her property because the tenant just moved out and she was about to get ready to sell it. So I answered her insurance questions, and then I asked her more questions about the property, where it was. She told me the area that it was in, and that immediately registered in my head. I've been recently listening to a lot of Bigger Pockets podcasts. That's when I realized that there was an opportunity here. We began talking. I asked her what she wanted for the property. I knew that this area at the time, all the after repair values were around $60,000 to $65,000. She informed me that the same tenant has been in that property for 15 years. It was the first tenant they placed. It worked out well. However, they weren't the cleanest of tenants. So there was this 15 years of the property just slowly getting worse. And by the time they moved out, they had one tenant for 15 years. They weren't really looking to get back into the management side. They didn't want to clean up the property. There was a little bit of mold in the basement. So all of these things, they just saw a giant headache. They had recently retired from their jobs. They just wanted to get rid of the property. I asked her if she would be interested, because I learned this from Bigger Pockets, is if she would be interested in seller financing. She said that she wasn't too familiar, but she would have to get back with me. So I said, okay. I told her that I'd be more than happy to buy that from her if she wanted to sell it on seller finance terms. She got back with me a few days later. She called in and she said, yep, I think that we're open to that. What terms were you thinking? At that time, I just mentioned that I'm comfortable anywhere around like an 8.5% interest rate, and I'd like to put somewhere around 10% down. She said that if she didn't have to do any work to the property, she would be okay with selling it to me for $40,000. I said, perfect. That sounds like a deal to me. So she said, wait a second. You haven't even seen the property. I got a little bit too excited. So we made arrangements for me to check out the property. Everything looked really good. I was pumped about this deal. The terms that we agreed on were 8.25% interest, a 2-year balloon payment, amortized over 30 years. So the payment came out to be somewhere around $264. I purchased the property, we made the deal happen, and I closed on the house. At that point, the purchase price was $40,000, and at the time, the after repair value was $65,000. So we got the contractors in there. I got the estimate on remediating the mold, replacing the flooring, painting the house, cleaning up the bathroom. Everything there was salvageable. They hoarded in the basement, so they had just cardboard boxes from floor to ceiling, and there was some groundwater issues, so water was getting into the basement, soaking up behind those cardboards, and mold just grew for a really long time. So we addressed all the groundwater issues. Obviously, the cardboard was removed, and then we remediated the mold. So all of that happened for $10,000. So our down payment was $4,000. We purchased the property for 40 grand. So we financed $36,000. Again, around 8% amortized over 30 years with a balloon payment after 2 years. So that balloon payment, what that means is 2 years from the purchase date, I was agreeing to repay them the remaining loan balance in full. The game plan to that was to refinance at that time or before that time. So now let's take a look at the monthly expenses. So on this property, it was pretty cool. Again, like I said, the mortgage payment was $264. This was in a nicer area where the taxes are a little bit higher. They were $100 per month, and insurance is right at $35 per month. And property management is right at $64. This total comes out to be $463. We were able to rent this property for $800 per month. So in income of $800, expenses of $463, we had a cash flow balance of $337. That was the monthly cash flow with seller financing in place. So just recently, we refinanced this property. This is where it starts to get really fun. In this area, it's a nice area. It has appreciated a good bit. As we saw over here, I have the ARV listed at 79,000. This is what the property actually appraised for. It's a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house. Let's look at some pictures of it. Unfortunately, we won't be able to walk through it because it currently has a tenant in there. We can see here that I did put new appliances in the property. The bathroom looks good, and we also redid all of the flooring. I have to apologize for these pictures. Again, like I said, this was my 4th property. This is before I really documented everything in great detail. Before the balloon payment was due, we refinanced this property at 75% of the appraised value. So that's $56,000. We owed $35,000 on the property at this point with a little bit of principal paydown over the past 2 years. So that leaves us a net positive of $21,000. So from this one transaction, having put $4,000 down just 2 years ago, we've now recaptured $21,000 of equity. This money went into our bank account. Pretty cool, right? And then remember, we had to put the $4,000 down payment and then the $10,000 for rehab. So you can take $14,000 away from this and say that's money that we invested at the beginning of the property, which is fine. That leaves us now with $7,000. So now that we have $7,000 from this transaction, after the money that we recaptured the original money that we had to put into the property, we deposited $7,000 into our bank account that had no purpose other than benefit our real estate investments. Now, this is where it gets really cool. So now that 2 years have passed with us having a business relationship with the people that we bought the house from, we'd been paying them. We set it up in bill pay on our bank account every month like clockwork. They got a check for $264 delivered to their mailbox for 2 years. A high level of trust was made over the 2 years of them just getting the money in the mailbox every month. So after the transaction was complete, we paid them off. We refinanced the house. We put a little bit of money in our bank account. We're still growing. We're still buying rental properties. So they were really impressed to hear how many properties we've acquired since we first started. You know, I was very vocal about it back then. My brother and I were really excited, telling them about how this is our 4th rental property. They really enjoyed hearing that, but they were really confused as to what our plan was to pay off that 2-year balloon. So we told them that we are looking to get as many seller financing properties as we can get, or any sort of distressed properties from foreclosures. We're looking to use private money to acquire and rehab those properties. If it's not seller financing, we're going to get a big group of those together, and then we're going to refinance those with a commercial lender. 2 years goes by, and that's exactly what we did. So the trust was there because we executed and delivered on exactly what we told them we were going to do. So we asked them if they wanted to do it again. They said yes. Now that they've said yes, we already had another property in the pipeline. That purchase price was $26,000. It was a similar property. It was a 2-bed, 1-bath. This one actually had the 3rd bedroom up in the attic, similar to the other ones that I've shown you. So you can see here by these interior pictures that the property was in phenomenal shape. And honestly, when wholesalers send me properties like this and they send me these awesome photos, I get to the property and it looks nothing like the pictures. So I arranged with the wholesaler. We went out to the property. I looked at it. It was just as gorgeous and well maintained as the pictures made it out to be. So I agreed to purchase this. So now what I have is $30,000 of private money. We borrowed that at 12%. So now our monthly payment is $300. The taxes on this property are $600 per year. $50 per month. The insurance on this property is $30 per month. And the property management fee is $52. So the monthly expenses on this new property that we purchased with the money that we borrowed at 12%, and this was for a 5-year term. So we borrowed this money, interest only, 5 years, a balloon after that. So now we turn that money into another property where the monthly expenses are $432 per month, and this is rented out for $650. So as you can see, we have a cash flow of $218. I really enjoy this deal because we still have a $4,000 difference. So we put another $4,000 into our bank account. This property came with a tenant. We didn't have to do any repairs to the property. So we were able to keep that $4,000, keep the $7,000, which brings us to a total of $11,000 that we made from all of these transactions. Not to mention over $500 a month in cash flow. These two properties are my favorite deals to talk about because along with two great rental properties, we're also able to build a relationship over the past 2 years that is built on trust, and they're able to see what we're doing on the real estate. Our plan is working. We're able to improve the community by fixing up homes with deferred maintenance. We're able to provide people and families with a phenomenal place to live, and we're able to build wealth for ourselves. Also, this couple is retired, and since we have the ability to pay them 12% on their money, on their $30,000, we're able to supplement their monthly income by $300 per month. It's a very fulfilling industry to be in, and it's just so rewarding to watch these properties go from having deferred maintenance to fixing them up and having someone live in the properties. So let me know what you think. Please comment, like, subscribe, all of those things that would help the YouTube algorithm so that I can make more of these videos and just freely give all the knowledge that I have about creating wealth. One cool thing that I heard recently was if you weren't born into wealth, it's not your fault. But if you live without creating it, you have nobody to blame. So let me know if I can help in any way. I look forward to talking to you next time. Thanks.